Welcome back, everyone, to the Off-Campus Podcast. In this episode, I was joined by Teagan Mcinnis, a great friend from high school for me. She's a very positive person all the time. This rule is pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. And it's talking about being happy, why happiness is a choice. So brought Teagan in to discuss that. We talked about how you can change your mindset in bad situations to make the situation better. We talked about what changed for us coming out of high school in regards to learning and how we kind of crave learning nowadays. We also talked about what we think this generation's missing and what this country's missing as a whole. This was a great conversation. We spent the rest of the night together talking about this kind of stuff, and it was great. So I hope to have her on again soon enough, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Welcome back to the Off-Campus Podcast, everyone. Today, I'm joined by Teagan Mcinnis.
Hello, everybody. I'm Teagan.
To discuss Rule 12, the last rule of the 12 Rules for Life book. I'm finally closing this series out. It's been great. I've learned a lot. But I think this one will be equally, if not better, than the rest of them. So, Teagan, what is the rule?
The rule.
Yes, the rule that we're talking about.
The rule basically states that...
Okay, I'll say it. Pet a cat when you encounter one on the street.
Yes.
What does that mean?
It means that when you're going through suffering and you're going through hard times, to find the little bit of sparkle in the pit of dust and continue on. And when all things look like they're falling apart, the one thing that's going to get you through all of it is finding that little piece of optimism.
Very good. Why do you think I chose you for this?
I've been told that I'm a very optimistic person, that I'm someone that tends to keep a smile on my face even when I'm going through some hard times. I do like to give some credit to my mom. She's been someone that's been able to give me a lot of good advice, make sure I count my blessings in the hardest times, and not forget where you came from.
Mm-hmm. Is that something you were born with, or do you have to make that decision every day to be happy or positive? Maybe you're not even happy, but is there a difference between being positive and being happy?
I would say yes. I would say that being positive is definitely a choice that you have to make every day. Even if you're positive doesn't always mean that you're a happy person. I would say it's easier to find the negative in things than it is to be positive.
Yeah, humans kind of have an innate thing where they're just drawn to negativity.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it makes sense from a biological perspective, because back then, if you see a berry tree,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be pessimistic about it, because the reward of eating a berry and being completely fine doesn't really outweigh the risk of eating the berry, it being poisonous, and you dying. So we all have that innate sort of thing to just be drawn to negativity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why the world is just so negative now all the time. That's why news is so negative, because it just draws eyes. Something about us where we like it, or we don't like it, but it just draws our eyes,
Definitely.
Yeah, I guess you didn't really... I asked two questions there. So do you have to make that decision every day?
Yeah. It is a choice to be positive, to dig deeper, and to find something to be hopeful in and to be gracious for when you feel like everything in your life is falling apart is definitely a skill that you have to build up. I would say that I was fortunate enough to have a mother that kind of punched that into me growing up, that everything's going to work out, everything's going to be great. But I'm not always going to be with my mom. And that's something that I'm going to have to continue to put effort into, and everything that I do is put a smile on my face and hope that everything's going to work out, and having the faith that I'm following the right path.
So you grew up without a father.
I
right?
did.
How do you think that changed who you are?
I would definitely say that has changed my life for the better.
Really?
I say this whenever I'm asked about it, when I'm talking about it to the people close to me. Growing up without a father has made me a lot closer to my family, like my mom, my siblings, and we all had to struggle together, and we know that we all have each other. Despite, like, my dad decided to walk off, we all have each other. We're not gonna walk off on each other. We have a lot of trust in my mom, and we're also grateful that she relayed that message into us, like, that everything's gonna work out, despite if he walked out or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to... I was just listening to this thing today, probably a couple hours ago. It was a podcast by Alex. Well, Alex Hormozy was in it, and he was talking about trauma. And he said he doesn't like to use the word trauma because it kind of gives an excuse to people. When people say, whatever, this happened to me when I was younger, therefore that's why I'm not doing well in life right now, he'll say, all right, you're right. That's why. It's not your fault. And then the other person's like, well, okay, maybe there is something I can do about it. So he just doesn't like using the word trauma because it's looked at in such a negative way, in such like a victimhood way, where like you can go through a traumatic event and still come out completely fine. And yours wasn't even like super traumatic because it's not like it was a one-off event that happened in a day. It wasn't like a crazy 1 in a million event. It happens to a lot of people. It's not ideal. It's not great. But luckily, you and your family were able to make the best of it.
Yeah.
How can someone have a positive outlook like that?
It is like a daily choice. But another like thing to go off of trauma is definitely something that people use as like a ping word, like as an excuse. And, you know, same thing with like mental health. People will say like, oh, like I have like anxiety, or like me, like I have ADHD. And that's something that I can use it as an excuse every day. Be like, oh, I can't do this today because I got ADHD, or I can't do this because I have trauma. But using that as an excuse versus using it as like, I have this, but I have ways that I can work around it. I can find coping mechanisms to work around those things. That's the difference that's going to make someone optimistic versus a pessimist.
Right. It's like stuff that you have about you that might look like a negative thing can actually be a positive thing. So
Definitely.
with ADHD, you could be like, oh, I can't focus on this because I have ADHD. You could also be like, I have ADHD, so I'm on go all the time. I can get this done, this done, this done, this done, this done.
Yeah.
Same with like OCD. If you're OCD, it's not. Don't think, oh, I'm like obsessive. I can't stop thinking about this. And don't think of that as a negative thing. Be like, I'm obsessive. I can't stop thinking about this. That means I'm going to do it perfect. I'm going to do it well. And it might change your mindset on it.
It's definitely pros and cons to every situation, I would say. And like with ADHD, I am more creative than a lot of people. I can hyper focus on things, and I might have the memory of a goldfish sometimes, but that's something that gets me through a lot of tough things that I have to go through. And sometimes that's all you need, is just to like forget the bad things that you've gone through and not let them define you, so that you can get through to the next obstacle.
Yeah, next battle.
Yeah.
You brought up this idea, this short video that we watched before.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to explain that?
The girl that
Yes.
I watched?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it can be applied to yourself as well. Like you do this, you make it through this obstacle, and then your next obstacle, you can kind of use that strength from the last one too.
Yeah. So the video that I watched talked a lot about it's the podcast is called Saved Not Soft, and it's by Emmy Moore, and she's a Christian podcaster. And she was talking a lot about how when we go through tough times, it's important not to forget the things that God's already gotten us through. And the problem with a lot of people is we will forget, and because of that, we will think that we can't get through certain things. But God's always going to be there for us. In the end, our feelings might change, but God never does change. And it's important to remember God's gotten us through one thing. He's not going to leave. He's going to get us through the rest of our battles that we have, as long as we have our faith in him and that we keep our relationship with him, and we ask that he blesses us through the things that we invite him into. He's going to do that.
I like that idea. He'll bless stuff that like you invite him into. And that actually directly applies to this rule.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I've grown up in the church, and I never really didn't have a relationship with God, which I'm super blessed to be like that. But when talking about this rule and being optimistic, even in hard times, I've had God to like lean onto, and it's definitely helped me a lot. But like, you didn't basically your entire life. How would you do it without something like God to lean onto?
Yeah, well, I also grew up in the church. I was an altar server until I was 17 years old. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I had a relationship with God. And my mom definitely instilled a lot of the morals from my church about having faith and knowing that God's going to provide what we need in our lives as long as we're gracious towards him and the things that he has done for us, and we don't neglect him. He won't neglect us. She did instill those, but I didn't necessarily have a relationship with God until this past year when I met my roommate, Kylie. She has been a very big influence in my life in terms of my Christianity. She's someone that guided me in my faith a lot, and she invited me to come to this new church called One Church in Manchester. And when I found God, that's when all the pieces started to kind of click for me. And all the things that my mom taught me got even stronger when I found my faith in God, because I have something to actually attach those feelings towards of hope and faith. I have a power greater than me that I can believe in, that not even just believe in, but I can believe God. I can believe God's plan, and I can believe that he's going to do things for me.
How can thinking about what you're going through being not as bad as someone else's help?
Mean?
So you're going through a tough time, right? And I'm not saying you are right now, but imagine you are, and it's not easy to go through stuff like that. But it helps to realize that other people are probably going through things way worse than what you're going through.
You can't compare people's situations, because it's gonna feel the same for everybody what you're going through. Like it is on a spectrum, the pain that you're going through, but regardless, you're still going through pain. You're going through hard times, and you're going to need the same amount of optimism through it all. Like, certain situations may not be as severe as others, but you're going to still feel the same amount of pain and sense of, like, lost. Like you're lost in the world, or you need someone to guide you, or you need advice. Like, you're going to have a hard time regardless.
Yeah. That it's definitely a tough thing to do well comparing yourself to others. I think you can in certain situations. But like I said, or if you did the opposite of what I said and you start comparing yourself to other people that are doing way better than you, even if you're doing well, you're going to start feeling like crap because, just it's all perspective. It's all perspective. So I don't know. I think you can look at other people and use that as a positive thing, as motivation.
Yeah.
But also like I said, when you're going through a tough time, just think like, well, someone's doing way worse than me, and they're probably getting through it just fine. So, yeah. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, what helps a lot in that is recognizing that other people are going through it worse. Is even when you're at your lowest, continue to give to others, because that's something that will really fill up your cup. And you may not feel like you have a lot to give to others, but you really do. And it doesn't matter what it is. You always have something to give. Time,
love, money.
Yeah.
Certain situations, yeah. I actually, another thing from Alex Hormozy, I just saw a post of his, and it was like 10 things he learned from business. And the first one was, if you get like an itch to give to someone, don't hold back. Don't like think about it. And like if you're like feeling an urge, like if you think God's telling you to give this money to someone or like tip big or something like that, you shouldn't like think about it and be like, well, is this smart financially? No, because it's all going to repay you in the end. And I actually have a kind of controversial idea about helping others. So people say you can't love others until you love yourself. But I fundamentally disagree with that. I think one way to find value in yourself, which in the end will make you love yourself, a way you can find value in yourself is by providing value to others. So treating others with respect, spending your time to help someone, spending your money to help someone in need. A lot of people would say, well, I don't love myself, so I need to focus on myself before I can love others. But I don't know. I think it goes the opposite way.
I agree. I feel like that's such a selfish way of thinking, is to think that you can't give to others until you've given enough to yourself. But like I said, like the biggest way to fill up your cup is to give.
Right. Yeah, but I think that also kind of goes both ways. It's a tough dynamic. But yeah, I mean, like, you can always give people something. You can always give people your time. But there is a point, there is validity to the point where, like, you can't give someone advice if you're not sufficiently successful yourself. Like, if someone's asking you for a relationship advice and you've never been in a relationship, well,
yeah,
I'm not sure you should be giving that advice.
I agree with
but
that.
There's both. Like, you can always give your opinion. Just be like, well, just keep in mind, I've never been in a relationship, so maybe don't take exactly what I say, but this is what I think you should do. That you can always give. And then at the end, you're still giving.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. We'll get right back to talking to Teagan, but I would just like to ask you, if you are enjoying this episode so far and you find yourself coming back on the regular, please hit that like button and subscribe. A lot of people who watch my podcasts are not subscribed, and you might miss them when they come out. So do that for me. It would help a lot and make my day. So back to the episode. How can this rule be applied to good days? So petting a cat when you encounter him on the street, it's good on a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
It's great on a bad day. But what about a good day? Does it change that at all?
I'm having a hard time with the metaphor of petting a cat on the street. Is a cat like a bad?
No, it's a good thing. Okay, so the whole idea is, say you've had a horrible day, your mind's spinning, and you just want to go for a walk. And you go for a walk, kind of to clear your mind, and you see a pet coming across the street, and you're like, oh, it's so cute. And you bend down, you let your hand out, and you kind of whistle at it, and it comes by, and you just pet it a little bit, and it just makes your day a little better, Even though you've had such a horrible day, whatever it is, like it could be the worst thing in the world, or just something someone cut you off in traffic and you're just in a bad mood. Either way, you need to focus on the positive, like little things, the little things.
Right. Okay. So I'm kind of catching on what you're saying here. So like on the good days, like I think not taking the cat walk on the street for granted can be a big thing because you're having a great day and you see a little cat walking by. You might ignore it. You might not think that that's something worth your while, and you might take it for granted.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Even the little things, you gotta appreciate the little things.
Yeah, I love cats. Every time I see a cat, I love cats. Are you a cat or a dog person?
I grew up being a dog person, but I've met some really nice cats, and I'm definitely getting a cat when I get my own space.
Yeah, the reason why I like both, but I love cats because I feel like with dogs, you don't earn anything. They love you no matter what, but cats, you gotta earn it.
Yeah.
If a cat loves you, you're like, oh yeah, I deserved it.
That's when you know you got it. You got their trust because they're very skittish.
They are. And they're so cute. They're so cute and fragile. Dogs are cute too, but they're not like fragile. There's something about cats, like they're so fragile that it makes them even cuter. They're so loving sometimes, and they're calm. Not as much work as a dog.
It's worth it it's like building relationships with somebody. It's like sometimes the relationships that take more time and they're a lot more work are a lot more worth it in the end. You get a lot more fruits for your labor.
Yeah, I'd argue that's probably true with dogs too.
Yeah.
They take a lot more effort, but in the end, like you have a way stronger bond with your dog than you will with your cat. And I still love cats, but
that's true.
That's what I think. So Jordan Peterson was talking about trauma, and actually he was talking about his daughter going through very difficult sickness. Besides, like looking at the positive, that's not going to really fix your situation.
Right.
So what should someone do as like a first step if they're going through a tough time?
Find the positive in other parts of your life, because when one piece of your life is crashing down, there's got to be something that you have. Something. You can think of anything. Like, the sky's blue today. The sun's still shining today.
I'm alive.
I'm breathing. I have food on my plate. You know? And yeah.
Because a lot of people don't.
Yeah. You might be missing a lot of things in your life, but you also have a lot of things that other people don't, that you need to count your blessings for.
Yeah. You think that's a problem with just America, or do you think it's all around?
I think that has been a issue going on since the beginning of time. You know?
Yeah.
It's in the Bible.
Yeah, you're right. Ungracious people.
Yeah.
And somehow it's probably even worse now.
Probably.
And we have way more than anyone ever did. Actually, real quick, what do you think about parents who spoil children?
Ooh. I think that's very controversial. I think I feel like people that spoil their kids are definitely looked down upon, but I think it's ultimately about the lessons and the morals that you're distilling into your kids. Because yes, you can spoil your kids, you can give them everything that maybe you might not have had, maybe you did. But if they're not growing up to be good people, that's the difference. And if they're not going to be able to fend for themselves and they're not going to learn any lessons in their lives because you're protecting them from that, you're really not growing them into a successful person that they need to be when you're not there. You're not always going to be there for your kids.
Yeah, or you don't want to have to be. Some people are, but yeah, I actually, the last podcast that I did with my pastor was about do not bother children when they're skateboarding. So basically, don't bubble your kids. Let them fail. Let them get hurt physically and mentally, because that's the way they learn.
I think that definitely holds true for the way that my mom raised me and my other siblings. we all had the same innate tendency to be very mischievous and
Yeah.
get into
Oh,
a
you
lot of
are.
trouble.
I know that.
Yeah. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we're bad people, but she really lets us mess up a lot because she knows it doesn't make us bad people, but it's going to make us learn. And that's another big lesson my mom's taught me is every time I mess up, it's a lesson. And it's almost a bad thing at this point because that's the only way that I learn is through trial and error.
Mm-hmm. My pastor, funny enough, he is a twin, and actually he's a triplet. Sorry, but the funny thing is, in that conversation, he was saying that his mom didn't even really have a choice to like bubble them because she had 3 kids. It's like when you're a new parent, and you have 3 little kids running around. You don't really have the time or energy or facilities to like bubble them. So that probably happened with your mom too. Like she had so many kids that it ended up being a good thing. It was a blessing.
Definitely.
That your mom wasn't able to baby you and bubble wrap you. So then you were able to actually go out, make mistakes, learn. Because otherwise you wouldn't have. How many siblings do you have? 5?
Yeah, I have 5 siblings.
Are you the youngest?
Yeah.
What's the age gaps between?
15 years from me and the oldest.
Jeez, that's a long time.
You know, I could definitely flip like the story around and be like, like my mom didn't pay enough attention to me as a kid. Like, you know, she didn't baby me. I didn't get spoiled. Like, all my friends have like this at lunch. Like, they have a Lunchables or like they have all this stuff. And like, I was always like, oh dang, like my lunch money ran out. I'm gonna eat someone else's food. And you know, like I could definitely like put a lot of hatred towards and like resentment towards my childhood and how I grew up, but I definitely have found a lot of humor, and I think I came out the way that I am because of it, and I find a lot of positives in the struggles that I've gone through. I think it's grown me into a better person.
There's this idea where if you're looking at someone and you're jealous of them, you're jealous of their childhood, you're jealous of whatever, their success, their personality, their looks, anything, you have to assume that you're going to wholesale trade your life for theirs. So with Tiger Woods, he's very successful, he's a very good golfer, but
I saw this.
Yeah, his dad pressured him and I think physically abused him into like becoming a good golf player. And if you're ever jealous of Tiger Woods, of his success and everything, you got to think, well, would I have been willing to go through that to become that? And you end up realizing that most people would not trade their lives with anyone else. Like, I am glad where I am. And even though I'm not where I want to be, there's no, like, I wouldn't trade my life with even like the influencers now that didn't even really have to work that hard to become successful. I don't know if I'd even want that because I wouldn't have the sense of accomplishment. Like I know me, I would suffer from imposter syndrome, which is like you don't think you deserve the success that you do. So like if I did that and I didn't work very hard to get there, I'd feel like an imposter. I'd feel like I don't deserve this wealth. I don't deserve this success at all. So you end up realizing that really you wouldn't trade your life for anyone else's.
And it's definitely just a trick. Like, you can look at millionaires, trillionaires. They're still hungry for more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like celebrities. They look at Kim Kardashian. She can't find a niche for her life because she wants to prove to everybody that she's better. She can do other things. And what is it all for? You can never hit an end with people. You're always going to want to be growing. That's why it's very important to find the happiness in right now and what you have now.
Yeah, Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller, the first millionaire. I think he was the first millionaire in the United States, which back then that was worth. I mean, he was probably still the richest man, adjusting for inflation. And in an interview, my pastor talks about this all the time. In an interview, he was asked, like, what's the point? When is when is enough? And then he just said, just one more. Just a little more. Just a little more. And that's the truth. Everyone says that. Everyone who's successful says that. They're like, yeah, I mean, cool, you hit $1 million in your bank account, you want 10. Once you hit 10, you want 100. Once you hit 100, you just want $1 billion. Like, that's how it goes.
Never satisfied.
Yeah. Chris Williamson has this, he talked about slowing success down. If you can slow your success down, because especially with social media, it's so exponential and people just pop off and are suddenly famous in 1 hour. But he said if you can slow that down, you won't suffer from that high of just getting up there and then plateauing. So if you can like slowly make it more of a curve, then your body, your mind will be able to adjust to not even just success with money, but like anything.
It's a whole life adjustment.
Yeah, and like even with like a relationship, if you're just starting a relationship, you don't want to in 2 months get married, in 2 more months have kids, like, or whatever, get pregnant, and then 2 more years you're like having another kid. You want to like slow this stuff down. Once you look back at your life, you'd wish that you might slow that stuff down and enjoy the times that you had. Like, maybe it's fun like having a fiance for whatever, for 6 months. You don't have to get married right away, and we have a lot of time on this earth. Even though we don't have a lot of time on this earth, we do, and it's smart to just use it. Slow down, have fun, enjoy the little things. Because if you get to the end of your life and you're super successful, but you never had a day of fun, then like,
what was it all for?
Was it worth it? I mean,
yeah.
Some people are completely fine with that, and good for them. But it just depends on the person, right?
Yeah, it's like if you go to like Europe and you want to see all the countries and you only have like a certain period of time. And would you rather see 50 countries in like 2 weeks, or get to spend like a good amount of time in like a couple? Like,
you're right.
Like
yeah.
2 countries, maybe. Like, it's all about like you said, like slowing down, enjoying where you're at instead of more.
Yeah, it's not about the titles. It's not like getting through it and being like, yeah, I got married. It's like, no, well, yeah, you got married technically, but like you didn't even really feel it. So yeah. That's a struggle for everyone, I think. I don't know.
I never heard about that, like slowing down your success. Like, that's
if you can.
That's smart.
It's smart. I have a tough time with being impatient, so I think I actually have I don't know if it's the opposite problem, but it's a different problem where like, actually, I don't know. Maybe that is the problem that I deal with.
Describe it.
Because I am so impatient and I want to be successful very fast. And, like I want to get married young, so I'm 20 years old. Young is like 25, so, I gotta get my move on. But at the same time, I should like really slow down, make sure I'm doing everything right. Make good decisions.
Just enjoy it. Like, your youth is something that, what am I trying to say? Your youth is something that is going to go by really fast and you can never get it back. And if you're wishing time away, you're not going to get to appreciate where you're at, and you're never going to get this time back with your singleness. You have so much freedom right now to, learn more about like the Word of God and learn more about yourself and your relationships and the things that you want to work on with yourself. You have so much time and space to learn when you're not in a relationship. Like, once you get married, you have kids, that's when you give up a big piece of yourself. So I think,
yeah, it's a big gain and a big loss.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, I would argue with anyone to say it's way more of a gain than it is a loss. But yeah, I know what you mean. With youth, I never really thought of it until now, but when you're like sick and your nose is stuffy and you're like, I'm so jealous of when I wasn't sick. That's what I feel like it's going to be like being old.
Definitely.
It's going to be like, yeah, I'm okay, but it'd be real nice if I was young, like,
Even now, like,
It'd be really nice if I could breathe very easily.
right. Since being in college, and I'm just like reminiscing about how it was when I was like 15, I was like, wow, I really wish I could drive. Like, I really wish I could go out and drink, like, whatever, this, that. I wish I had more control over my life. With that comes a lot of responsibility, and same thing with, like, wanting an apartment, wanting your own space. Like, that comes with a lot of
responsibility.
Money. You have to learn a lot before you can get there.
Yeah, and generally we only look at the positive things that we're missing out on instead of the negative things that we should be gracious that we didn't have to go through. So
it's like when people post their relationships online, like they all look perfect and like they're happy, but behind closed doors, like relationships are hard. It's a lot of work, sometimes people are praying for their singleness to come back, but they're too scared to be alone again.
Yeah, a lot of people would be in a better position if they were in a worse position, because if they were in a worse position, they would have a higher incentive to change something. So if your girlfriend's babbling on and she's just annoying all the time, and you're not really doing anything wrong, but she's still like just being really annoying, whatever it is, like she gets mad for no reason or anything, you might be in a better position if she just cheated on you, because then you'd be like, okay, I'm out. And then you're single now. You can upgrade from there. But you know what I mean? Like if you're, same thing with like a job. If your job's like you're not getting paid a lot, you don't think you're getting paid what you're worth, but it's enough to pay the bills. Well, if you were in a position, if that job wasn't even paying you enough to pay the bills, then you'd have a higher incentive to get out of there and move on to a better job. And in the end, you end up in a better place because you were in a worse place.
I like that.
Thanks. It's not all not original. Not original to me. One thing I've learned from this podcast, like doing this podcast, actually, is my memory has gotten so much better. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but once I talk about it once, like say that thing that Alex Hormozy thing that I said earlier, I don't even remember what it was. But next time that a subject comes up and I'm like remotely reminded of it, since I explained it to you and to everyone else, I'm going to remember it again. It's pretty cool.
I need that. My memory's lacking. Even when we just watched that video literally 3 minutes ago, I was like, what did the video say? What did the video say? I was like, what was I supposed to get out of that?
No, that's okay. Yeah, my family's not very good at with their memory either, and I'm not either. But it's gotten better.
So I got this new book that I've been trying really hard to read, but like most things, I pick things up when I put them down, and it's called Limitless by Jim Quick, and it's basically just talking about like how much technology now and like our everyday habits really affect our ability to improve our ability to learn, along with like memory and everything. And the book basically just like teaches you how you can learn quicker, more efficiently, with more ease. And once you relearn how to learn, then that's when you become limitless and your possibilities are endless with what you can achieve. And it talks a lot about like everyday habits that will improve your memory, and you'll be a better communicator, you'll have less brain fog, and blah, 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 blah. And it's a really good book. I need to read it more.
Yeah, I have a very tough time with reading, too. I start reading. I'll even do it for a few days in a row, and then I just stop reading for a month.
The book even talks about how you can become a quicker reader, better reader, and absorb more of that information. So I just need to get on top of it.
Yeah, books are so good. I'm better with audiobooks, though, because like I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I'm good at listening to podcasts. I'm good at listening to ebooks, audiobooks, whatever, because I can do it when I'm working out or working most of the time, driving, showering, anything. Like I can, even when I'm like editing, I can still listen to audiobooks and stuff. It's really nice. There's a couple books that I think are like must reads. First, 12 Rules for Life. Very good. Very good. Life changing. Second one, Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. Very good book. It's about this guy, Michael Easter, true story. Him and like two guys that are like outside guys, like they are men. They are men. And they go up to like somewhere in Alaska where no one's ever been, and they are there for 40 days, and all they have is like stuff they brought with them. So they have to like hunt and find food and hunt caribou to survive and stuff. And they have no way of contacting anyone else. So I don't know. It was a really good book, but it wasn't even about. It was halfway about the story, and halfway about like what he learned from it.
Yeah.
And a lot of scientific stuff. Atomic Habits by James Clear is very good too.
Yeah.
A little bit of a boring book in my opinion, but a lot to learn. I don't know. I like reading, but I also don't like reading. A lot of the times too, like I read at night, and I'm fairly busy throughout the day, or I try to be. So even when I read, I usually don't read the book that I'm currently reading. Usually I just read the Bible because I feel like I need to read the Bible. I know that, and that's priority over other books. Right. So I end up like not reading the books that I want to read.
I just have so many interests and so many books that I want to read, so I read like a little piece of it, and then, you know, a week or two go by, I'm like, wow, I haven't read any books. Let me open up the book that I tried, and then, you know, it's just inconsistent with me, my reading habits. I want to get to a point where I can read every day and like make that a bigger priority. I try to read my Bible in the morning. God only knows how long I can do that for before I have to get up for class and stuff. But yeah, prioritizing your wisdom is huge. That'll get you through a lot.
Yeah, just stuff that you consume, whether it's like podcasts or even stuff on social media. It's important to like regulate that and make sure what your content diet is all positive things for you. There's some stuff that's just purely entertainment, and that's all good and well, but if it's all just entertainment, you're like wasting so much potential. I have talked about this before. I, in high school, didn't try very hard in school. I don't know if you knew that, but I didn't really have any classes with you. But anyway, yeah, me or you both didn't do great. I mean, it's not like we're dumb. Like we could have done well. We just didn't, right? Because we chose not to. But like me, you seem now that you're like interested in learning. What do you think changed that for you? Because it changed for me.
I have always been a very avid learner. I've always loved to intake new information that I can apply to my life. I think the biggest thing with like high school is like being forced to learn certain things that I didn't necessarily have a big interest in. And I think now that I have a lot more freedom to learn the things that I want to learn in my life, that's where it gets exciting.
Yeah. Same here. I don't know what it is. Like I've always liked learning, but the thing with high school is it was stuff that I never was going to use in my life. So it seemed a little useless to me.
I only want to learn the things that I want to learn.
Right.
You know?
But I still do wish that I did well in high school, because just for like my pride, not the negative pride, but just so I have a positive outlook on myself and realize that like I put in the work to do that, but I didn't.
I think that the biggest thing that should bring you pride is your relationship with God.
Okay. But it's the same thing. Like I don't go to the gym every day just because I want to get jacked. I go to the gym because I want to be the type of person that is willing to like go through hard times, you know?
Yeah, you want to
practice
and same thing discipline.
Like it's the same thing with the school thing. Like I wish I did well in school because I wish I tried my best, but I didn't try my best. And that's the only reason. Not for other people to look at me in a positive light, you know? Yeah, I mean, school was something. I was kind of a degenerate then, though. I didn't live how I should have lived.
Yeah, but if you were how you are now, back then, like, would it have meant as much to you?
I would have been such a boring person.
Yeah, but like, you had to go through that to
I
really
know.
find your value and like find who you are.
Yeah.
That's why I get in trouble a lot. In high school, I definitely didn't care a lot about sports, even. I didn't care a lot about grades. And I cared a lot about having fun. And I wouldn't trade that for anything because I learned a lot of hard lessons in my days. I learned why school is important, and it wasn't in a bad place. You know, people will grow up being like, you have to get an A or you're gonna be grounded for like months, whatever. I learned grades are good because it is something that's gonna impact the rest of my life. It's a learning process, and being in college, like, you can have a lot more freedom to learn what you want to learn, the career path that you want to go into, and I really wouldn't trade it for anything. You know, your pride is very tempting. But it is a stealer of joy. You know,
It is.
and you can't change your past, and you can only, like I said, this is why you brought me on here. You have to be optimistic about everything and find gratitude, and even the things that you wish you could have changed.
Well, people say you can't change the past and you can't change what happened, but you can change the way you look at it and make it a positive thing, which is great. A lot of people do that, and it works out very well for them. Yeah, I have a lot of competing thoughts in my head about college. I think on one hand, it's a great thing. You learn a lot from it, even outside of the school side of it. But at the same time, I do kind of think it's a scam. Sometimes. For a lot of people, it is. Definitely for a lot of people, it is. For people who aren't applying themselves in school, it is most definitely a giant waste of time and money.
I would agree. Depends what you want for yourself, but at the end of the day, that's always going to change. Like, they say you go through multiple career paths in your life, and they're all different. So, what are you getting a degree for? Is it for now, or is it for 10 years when you say you don't want to be a sports management person anymore?
Yeah, right. You think, like, if you're going to be doing this thing your whole life, you might as well take some time to think about what you're going to do instead of just coming right out of high school and being forced to make a decision in a couple months, you know?
I think there's pros and cons in either going to college or not going to college.
I would agree. I've definitely grown up a lot since being out of school in all. I feel like an adult. I don't feel like a child anymore. Like I used to feel like a child, and now I don't. That's a big thing. Really, like, wanting to build something that's like bigger than myself. This podcast, like, not just working. Like, working, I don't know. I'm gonna be doing it my whole life. I might as well find something positive that is also fun. So, I mean, I hope this is positive. I'm trying to bring value to a lot of people here, and it's fun. So that's a big thing. But I also have missed out on the relationships that I could have, and not just like romantic relationships, but friendships and potential business relationships that I could have had if I had gone to college and met a bunch of people. But there's pros and cons to everything, of course. But
I would say,
yeah. All right, drawing it back in a little bit. When people go through tough times, they often become bitter, and they get mad at the world. How can someone not do that without just looking at the positive? Because how about more practically? Like, how can someone do it? Like, how can someone actually do it without just being like, well, just look at it good, you know? How can someone
not get angry at the world when they're going through hard times?
Yeah, like, how can someone, even if they make it through, how do they not become bitter? Because plenty of people get through very difficult times and through that become a better person. What distinguishes those people?
Acceptance. I think you need to have a lot of acceptance. Like, this is what happened. How am I going to get through it? You can't change it. You know?
Right. Yeah.
That's the first step, is just accepting your situation for what it is and knowing that you might not have control over a lot of the things in your life most of the time. And despite that, you're gonna have to make it through. And figuring out the way to do that is a good way to stay positive, is knowing that you're going to have a solution for what you're going through.
Say your best friend is having a disagreement with someone in their family, someone they're very, very close with, someone in their family, let's say their father. And how can you help your best friend get through that without, it's hard. Like if someone's arguing with their family, it's hard to like butt in because it's their family. How would you be able to help that person?
Opening up your perspective to the other side, like how the dad is doing. Like
okay.
Opening up your perspective to how the other party's doing, step in their shoes. That really helps a lot with the acceptance that I was talking about. And having some grace for the other person is, maybe your dad's an asshole, but maybe your dad was abused as a kid, Like, people are the way that they are for what they've been through, and that might not always justify it, but it does give you a little bit more perspective to the reasoning behind things, and that can help you accept it. And once you accept it, you can move forward and decide how you're going to act on that situation that you're going through. But getting rid of the bitterness, especially towards someone in your family, like that is absolutely necessary before you can move on and making decisions.
I think it's important, too, to realize that they're not out to get you.
Yeah.
Someone that you're having an argument with isn't out to get you. Generally, most of the time, if someone like dislikes you, they just won't talk to you. So, realizing that your father in that situation is not like he's not out to get you. You're just you guys see something differently, and you're gonna have to work together to figure it out. But
I have been going through this recently with my roommate, who I do feel like she is out to get me, trying to frame me for things that I
maybe
haven't
women
done.
are different, but I know how a guy
it's
thinks.
It's women and men, But I have had someone that's trying to frame me, and I have had a lot of grace in this process because, I step in her shoes, and I say, at the end of the day, we're all human, and we all are the way that we are for the things that we've been through, and I can't control that. And letting go of that need for control for things is huge. Like, once you can learn to surrender to your situation, you can relax a little bit and take a step back and take a deep breath and just move forward and keep on swimming.
Keep on swimming. Keep on swimming. You kind of remind me of Dory. In a good way. Not in a bad way.
I've never been told that, but I would agree.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. How does being thankful apply to this whole idea?
Gratitude is huge in welcoming more things into your life that you can be grateful for. And like finding the goodness in the bad will only bring good. It's not gonna hurt your situation and only make things better in the end. And the more you practice that, it's like a muscle. Like, the easier it'll be, the stronger it'll be. I think that's something that people need to practice every moment that they can. You can never be too grateful. You can never find enough to be grateful for.
Yeah, I've always had a tough time with it because I've obviously been very blessed of where I am and the family that I'm with and everything. Yeah. And the friends I have, literally everything about my life, I feel like I'm just super blessed in, which I am, but it's important for me to realize that. So what I've been trying to do is every morning when I wake up is think of one thing, just one thing that I'm very grateful for. And then throughout the day, I try to remember that one thing. So something small, I think the first day I was thankful for my pillow. I'm thankful for my heated blanket.
That's huge, though.
And then throughout the day, I'm like, I am really grateful for that because it's so nice. I let's say I'm like taking a shower before bed, turn the heated blanket on. Once I'm done with the shower, head into bed, and it's just warm. It's the best feeling ever. And then, but like you don't think about, like I would never think about that if I didn't do it. And like I think about like my mom one day, and then I go downstairs and she's making me breakfast. I'm like, oh, this is so great. And then like I see her, whatever. I work at home and she's a stay-at-home mom, so we're with each other like all day. But like I see every time I see her, I'm like, wow, I'm so thankful, so thankful. And then like every time.
And that's like goes along with the happiness. Like it's an effort to be happy. It's a choice to be happy and find things to be thankful for. You know, a pillow, something so simple, and the fact that you're thinking about that when you put your head on it and know that not everybody has that, it puts a lot of value into the smallest things, the clothes that you're wearing. Like, come on.
Right.
You can always find something to be thankful for.
Yeah. Another thing that I've been trying to do, and I actually talking about it now, realizing that I have been missing out on it a lot. But every time I have a meal, I try, like when I was younger, our family would sit down for dinner, we'd pray and thank God for the food that we're about to eat. And I just don't do that now. So I have been trying. And I eat good food. I have steak. I usually have a steak a day. And like, it's incredible. It's so good. And I don't thank God for it at all. Like I never do, but I should.
I'm the same way. I've been trying to like remember after every meal or before every meal to pray. Forgot to do it today with my pizza.
Yeah, I didn't do it. I didn't do it
and I don't need
for the last week. So
yeah, and it's not about guilt. It's about changing your mindset and that you're gonna do it next time.
Yeah, don't take my medical advice, but I'm pretty sure there's like a thing where your brain can't be gracious and anxious at the same time. So
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know that for sure, but I have heard that from podcasts, that from people who would know if it's true or not.
I would agree, because anytime that I've been anxious and then I found something to be gracious for, it all seeps away, the anxiety. So I think that's accurate.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not technically true, practically it's true. So you should try to do it anyway.
That's what God says. Thank God for everything and all that you do.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding.
Yeah. Yes. Proverbs
6, I think.
Yeah.
6, 5, 6, 5, something. I don't know. I'm getting this so off. It's early Proverbs. I just read it.
Yeah.
What is one piece of advice that if you gave it to everyone in the country, that it would become a better place? You can take some time.
It's hard because I want to spread the word of God, but
that's
not everyone's gonna take that, and as much as I wish that they would, can't. But I would say the biggest piece of advice is to find gratitude in everything that you do, and
that's a good piece of advice.
Well,
I don't know what my answer.
You really put the whatever.
I tried to extend the question out and take a while to say it, like say it for a long time, so you maybe had time to think about it.
Okay.
But I also said you could take some time to think.
But
genuinely, if I'm just gonna say straight up, I have no idea what I would say.
Well,
same here. Like, I would like spread the word of God. I mean, that's
I would.
the best thing I can give.
That's
to
what
everyone,
he would want.
Yeah, it's the best thing that I can give to everyone, like, in every way possible. So, well, Teagan, thank you for coming on. This was great.
Thanks for having me, Joey. This has been so great.
Yeah, you're awesome.
This really made my night a lot better.
Me too.
Talking about gratitude and positivity.
Maybe you'll
contagious.
be reminded. Yes, you'll be reminded to be thankful now every time. Maybe tomorrow when your roommate gets under your nerves, you'll be reminded. I'm
I
okay.
will.
I have plenty to be thankful for.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, we're done with this series. 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. Great book. Read it, everyone, if you haven't already. And I seriously mean that. I'd actually say that you're probably a bit dumb if you don't take that advice. But thank you for sticking by me. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. I will be back. I don't necessarily think I'm going to be doing any type of series anytime soon. So I'm just going to be going back to interviewing people that I thoroughly enjoy or am intrigued by. And I hope that you guys enjoy it as well. But that's it. So see you later.
Peace.
Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy and you find yourself coming back on the regular, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you never miss a full episode when it comes out. These are going to be coming out every week, and you don't want to miss them. There's a lot of knowledge and stuff. If you want to watch another episode, go to the left of your screen right there. You can click it. If you're watching on a TV, you're not going to be able to click it, but that's okay. So thank you again for sticking by and watching till the end, and I will see you next time.